Satan isn't mentioned anywhere in the Hebrew Bible. Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion. And the notion that there is some individual malevolent divine being named Satan is a development of the common era of the Christian period. In the Hebrew Bible, we have as the Hebrew noun Satan, which just means adversary or accuser or something like that, and is just a role that anyone can step into in any circumstance or situation. And so we see a number of humans who are described as functioning as a Satan in the Hebrew Bible. We even see the angel of the Lord in the book of Numbers confronting Balaam as a Satan. So in the Hebrew Bible, the majority of the usage there is as this generic noun that just means adversary, opponent, accuser, something like that. We get a new development in the first two chapters of the book of Job, where now we have Ha-Satan, the Satan, which is still not a name, but a title. And here it seems to be identifying a role, a function, an office within the divine council of the Israelite pantheon. And so when the B'nai Elohim, the children of God, the second tier of the Israelite pantheon, come before God at the beginning of Job, there is someone who is functioning as the Satan among them. And that Satan is the one who argues that Job won't remain faithful if God takes his wealth away and if Job gets really sick and all.
This video is for educational purposes only. Now watch the entire video, and your argument basically is the term Satan is a title, and it's not an individual. And with the term Satan or Ha-Satan being a title, it's not attributed to an individual until the New Testament. That was the argument. Also in link with it being a title and not a name. Now, while the term Satan can be a title for adversary, it's like if you see somebody and you're like, oh, they're a Satan, or how Iran calls the United States and Israel great Satans, or lesser Satans. The term Satan is also a name for the individual. The first thing that we want to notate is this, that names in the Bible, personal names, are oftentimes linked to that person's personality, to that person's destiny, or something connected with what the person has done or will do. We see this principle right here. God told Abram that he was changing his name to Abraham. And notice what he says. Instead, you will be called Abraham, for you will be the father of many nations. So God himself, not Webster's, but God himself ascribes the name meaning to Abraham, and it connects with him. He was calling him what he was called to. The same with Sarai. God changed her name to Sarah, because his intention is to bless her and was to bless her richly. For she will become a mother of many nations. Kings of nations will be among her descendants. So also notice how this was connected with her name change, God's definition of it. We also see this in the name of Yeshua, or Jesus. The name Jesus means Yahweh is salvation. Again, his name is connected to who he is, because Jesus is literally Yahweh the Word. And Yahweh's manifest salvation. So it's embodied in his name, Jesus. It's no different when you go in the Hebrew or the Greek of Satan. In the Hebrew, Ha-Satan, in the Greek, Satanas, it could be a title, but because of the nature of it, it's also the name, the personal name, as well as who we know as Lucifer. Which brings me to my next point. It was mentioned in the video that Satan as an individual did not appear until the New Testament. However, when we go to Zechariah chapter 3, which is in the Old Testament, I'll read it for you. Then the angel showed me Jeshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord. The accuser, Satan, was right there at the angel's right hand, making accusations against Yeshua. And the Lord said to Satan, I, the Lord, reject your accusations, Satan. Yes, the Lord who has chosen Jerusalem, rebukes you. This man's like a burning stick that's been snatched from the fire. So right here, it's obvious that Satan is an individual. And when God speaks to him, he calls him Satan. Something else that's intriguing, right here we see that this figure, Satan, has a consistent track record of making accusations. When we go to New Testament scripture, we see that the Apostle John, who wrote the book of Revelation under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, which is 100% valid and 100% true, where there is absolutely no error, so to even indirectly suggest that the New Testament is invalid in this conversation is an issue for one. But back to the point, we see that the Apostle John right here, he notates the great dragon, who he also calls the ancient serpent, who he also calls the devil, who he also calls Satan. And he notates right here that this individual has a track record of accusation before God. So this individual who he's talking about, who he's very specific with, is the same individual that we see from Zechariah, who has a track record of accusation. This is the same individual that we see in Matthew chapter 4, tempting Jesus. We see Yeshua refer to this being in Matthew chapter 4, verse 10 as Satan, the individual. And even though you mentioned it, I'm going to display the correct understanding of this. In Luke chapter 10, verse 18, Jesus says, I watched Satan fall from the sky like lightning. Other translations say the heavens or heaven. Now, I believe that this is dual and multi-dimensional. For one, the devil Satan is cast down to the earth during the tribulation period in the future. And we see this in the book of Revelation. But there was also a time period in times past where it says, how are you fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the dawn? Or in other words, Lucifer. So in Luke, Jesus recounts the time that Lucifer fell. And Jesus calls him Satan. Now, I know that you mentioned the king of Babylon, but this is something else. Oftentimes when God speaks to an individual, he's also speaking to the spirit behind that individual. Just like with the king of Tyre and Ezekiel, he's speaking to the king, but he's also addressing the spirit behind the king because he calls him a cherub. And the king of Tyre is not a cherub, and a cherub is an angel. He's speaking of an angel that fell, which of course is Satan. Ultimately, the term Satan can simply be a title for somebody opposing you. And in that perspective, are there many Satans? Sure, but that doesn't negate the fact that there is one individual by the name Satan, or Lucifer, who is the accuser, who is the devil, who is the serpent. The same one that we see in 1 Chronicles 21:1 that God oversaw for David to take the census. This is the individual. Oh, and one more thing. I noticed how you mentioned that the serpent that's mentioned in the book of Revelation, Satan, is not the serpent from Genesis. Then you tried to simply link it to Leviathan in Isaiah 27:1. Now, even though Satan has ties to Leviathan, here's a little context clue showing that it's talking about the serpent in the garden. Notice after it says Satan, at the beginning it says the old serpent. It says something very intriguing. It says, which deceiveth the whole world. So this serpent is tied with deception. This serpent who is called Satan is tied with deceiving the entire world. His biography is deception. Where else in scripture do we see the serpent tied with deception? Oh yeah, when we go to Genesis chapter 3 verse 13, when Eve talks about that the serpent deceived her. It's the same serpent, Satan. I hope this helps. For those that like videos like this, you could follow for more. Now the deadline's quickly approaching. It's under a week away, a few days away. I'm doing a 3-day class on biblical interpretation. In this, I'm teaching the biblical guidelines and boundaries for dream interpretation, understanding that whenever God speaks in the heavens and the interpretation of that, how to interpret scripture, as well as how to identify true confirmation from false confirmation, and a lot more. So if you've been wanting to learn and understand God's voice, this class will be beneficial for you. For those of you that want to be a part of it, what you want to do is you want to go to my bio, and you see that Eventbrite link above my head. Click that link in my bio to join. It is not a live class. It's pre-recorded. So if you work, you have the links to watch at a later date. But when you do join, check all your folders, and in the search bar, Ty Jackson. Each of the days it's sent out, because if you have certain settings on, it can be sent to other folders, all right? See you guys there. Oh, and if you're on YouTube, you could go to my bio as well, and you'll see the link in there as well, all right?